Live. What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to the Three-Man Rush Podcast. I'm your host, Landon Oliver, here with my two co-hosts, Andrew Scott, Big Jared Holly down there at the bottom. What is going on, fellas?
Not much of nothing, man. Just no football. So tonight it's kind of a hard night. I guess there's a World Series, but it's a blowout. And the Lakers are playing the late night game, so I'm not staying up to watch that. That was my Wednesday evening.
Yeah, if there's two things that I would probably wish we could go ahead and get rid of, it would be the Lakers off of national television and the Broncos out of prime time.
You're probably not going to get one of those two things.
Yeah. Well, we're probably not going to get both of them because for whatever reason.
It's all kind of set in stone.
Yeah. So, well, if you are joining us here on YouTube, make sure you are liking, subscribing on the channel. Thank you so much for the support as well. And if you're joining us on Twitter, make sure to give all three of us a follow on the account and follow if you're just one of my followers, one of Drew's followers, one of Jared's 3 followers.
I have 4.
You have 4. Yeah, there you go. You're never on it. You're never on the big
6. I have 6 followers.
Oh, see? You're never on
They're
the big
loyal, though.
And you get those are rookie numbers. You got to pump those numbers.
The 6 most loyal people on the internet.
2 of them are here, and the other one is the show. So, yeah.
Hey, that
3 stragglers.
That's right.
So, yeah. Go ahead and give all 3 of us a follow as well. Like I said, we're still trying to get old man Holly on the Bird app. Have him do some DFS stuff, talk some football.
Drew's the DFS guy now.
I have one good week. That does not qualify me as the DFS guy. Not until I've got to at least get a free hoodie before I can call myself a DFS guy.
Last night in NBA, and he won the 3-man rush DFS contest in the same week. So
it has been a good week, but I can't really say the same for the entire year. So I'm not going to get too excited. It just you gotta live week by week.
Hey, nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. That's how you gotta live life. Just day by day, week by week. Just take it a little bit at a time.
Quarter mile at a time.
Yeah, I'll live my life a quarter mile. Family.
That's right.
All right. So if you joined us yesterday, we got through 6 of the 13 matchups. We went through some trade deadline stuff. So if you haven't seen that episode, go drop it. It is on the page as well, on the YouTube channel, and it is on the Twitter. So go ahead, find it on there. Go ahead and give that a watch. Let us know what you think, some of your favorite trade moves were, and if you have any matchups that you're looking at watching this weekend. But we do have 7 more matchups today that we're going to go ahead and hop right into, and we're going to start it off with the Carolina Panthers versus the Cincinnati Bengals. I saw a post the other day that was like, I don't know if I've ever seen a turnaround quite like the Carolina Panthers after they fired Matt Rule. I don't really know about it because they didn't win. So, I mean, they are more competitive, but look.
Did they not watch football last year with the Raiders?
Yeah, well, that's what that's the point I was going to make is like whenever, you usually have that like post-firing, 4 or 5 weeks where everything's still like, all right, let's get some energy in here. There's new stuff. And then it's just like, man, like the talent shines through. It will always come through eventually, whether it's good or bad, like it will come through. There was there was a coach, and I can't remember which one it was, but I heard this on the 1% Better podcast, from The Athletic. That they do. It's a Colts podcast. I was listening to that earlier, and it reminded me of a old quote from a coach. It was like, everybody in the NFL is good. Like even if you think they suck, they're all good.
Yeah,
they're all really good players. But games are usually won and decided on your 5 best players. And so, who are your 5 best players? Those are generally the guys that will decide whether you win or lose on Sundays. And when we stack up the Carolina Panthers' 5 best players, and then we stack that up against the Cincinnati Bengals' 5 best players, I think that's where there's a little bit of a contrast here.
I think Cincinnati is not the same team without Jamar Chase, man.
Yeah, I was gonna say it was like, which granted, Cincinnati's 5 best players is also not playing in this game. So
Right.
yeah, and nobody's, to be fair, Carolina does have the best player on both rosters, and that's Dante Foreman. So
I mean, Derrick Henry.
I don't want to say anything. I mean, is that you saying it or is that you mocking me?
No. I mean it. Like, he looks like Derrick Henry.
Huh. Imagine that. Wonder where we've heard that before.
Those Titans running backs, man. They churn them out.
System running backs.
Yeah. Hashtag system running backs. I want to do like a hashtag like system kicker. Like Justin Tucker is a system kicker.
Yeah, that's all it is.
Yeah. But I mean, I don't know. Like these are two, I guess, Carolina, for lack of better terms, like they're tanking. Like we know what they're doing, but at least they've been competitive. And PJ Walker looks awesome. They're fun. Like again, like make the Panthers fun again. That's
it's happening.
Yeah, and so I think Steve Wilkes has done a good job of rallying those guys, getting them ready to play, and obviously the talent level of the team's holding them back, but it's just. It's funny because last week was even further proof, and I know they didn't win the game, but like we saw Christian McCaffrey go completely bananas, against the Rams. Sorry, Drew, but also at the same time, like they didn't miss a beat. Like Carolina didn't miss a beat in the running game. Like, and it's just like, wow, like you're paying this guy who was like a third stringer, not even 3 weeks ago. You're paying him pennies on the dollar. He's going out there dropping, almost 200 yards rushing and multiple touches, 3 touchdowns, and then you have Christian McCaffrey making insane money. And granted, like what he does was it was special, it was awesome, it was fun to watch. Receiving touchdown, passing touchdown, rushing touchdown, any way you could score a touchdown, that guy scored.
You figure a way,
which is cool. But I mean, like, at what point are we getting into the like, is it better just to have Dante Foreman and pay him $2 million for the next year, or would you rather shell out, $12 to $15 million for a running back? So,
it depends on where you think you are.
Last week was a really good example of like the philosophy of the show, and not the normal philosophy of like, what the fuck are we doing here? Because that's like the main thing. But like the normal, like the other philosophy of like, we never pay running backs, because you had Tony Pollard go bananas with Zeke out. You had Dante Foreman go bananas. You had somebody else too went pretty nuts as well.
Yeah, Khalil Herbert had a good game.
That's what it was, yeah.
Montgomery played, but like Montgomery's about to be up for a payday.
Khalil Herbert's been the best running back on that team for 2 years now. I mean, it's been pretty evident every time he plays. Like, he's clearly the best running back on that team. And that's not to say
the new motto of the show should be never play DeAndre Swift over Jamal Williams.
That's also Dan Campbell's motto.
Yeah, especially on the goal line. It's painful, man. Dude,
I saw too,
like 40% of snaps and had all the touchdowns, and it was like he only got half the goal line to like Swift still got half the goal line touches, but
makes no difference.
The couple Jamal Williams got were right there, and
I even saw it was so funny. It was like, because I know I texted y'all because I was like, oh, Jamal Williams isn't on the goal line. Let's go Swift. And then I looked and it was Craig Reynolds, and I was like, I texted y'all, I was like, Craig Reynolds. Damn it, getting goal line touches.
Ended up getting a goal line touchdown too. There was I wish they'd stop spreading it around.
You get a touchdown. You get a touchdown. You get a. And that's also what they say to opposing offenses as well.
It is. That is very true.
So, actually, kind of went back and watched that game, which is something we'll get to here in a little bit whenever we talk about Miami. But yeah, the Bengals not pretty right now with Jamar Chase out.
I couldn't believe how bad Cleveland beat them on Monday Night Football. I really couldn't. I mean, I know Burrow's had his struggles against Cleveland since he got drafted. And division games are always weird, but I
Mhm.
just that Cleveland defense, it looked like the defense we've been waiting for them to be.
Yep.
So we'll see if that's more of a product of no Jamar Chase and Burrow just for whatever reason struggling against the Browns, or if the Browns defense has maybe turned a corner. Um, but I would imagine if Arthur Smith, Mariota, and company could put up the points they did against the Panthers last week, you would think Cincinnati, even without Jamar Chase, should come in and the offense should be able to have success. So
Theoretically, yeah.
theoretically, that seems like it would make sense. The NFL doesn't always really seem to care about what makes sense, but that's I would imagine this is a bounce back game for Joe Burrow. I have to imagine after that Monday night game, he's probably a little pissed off, and he can take some of his frustrations out on Carolina. So that's kind of how I see this one playing out personally.
Yeah, I think the Bengals find a way to get back on track here, but Carolina's sneaky, man. Like they really are. Like I've always liked PJ Tucker a lot. I thought he should have got
PJ Tucker?
Not PJ, it's PJ Walker.
I hate PJ Tucker too.
Yeah, I was gonna say I know
NBA DFS.
you know you were talking about NBA before the show. We got to talking and talking about that damn basketball. It's got me all frazzled here. We're live, okay? Like we're gonna make mistakes.
We're live.
Okay, we'll do it live. We'll do it live.
Whenever we record and we don't, when we're not live, we don't edit the mistakes out. Just ship it and print it. It's all right.
Right.
It's the authenticity that you guys crave, right?
Yeah, right.
So, yeah, let's go ahead and pick this game, though. I am curious to see where Big Jared's going to go. I'm actually going to take the Carolina Panthers here.
I will also have the Carolina Panthers.
Oh!
I do not trust Cincinnati's offensive line. That offense is not the same offense without Jamar Chase. They refuse to get Joe Mixon involved in the game. And
they did not like Joe Mixon.
Yep. I got the Carolina Panthers.
All right, let's roll.
Playing with house money.
I think PJ Walker, yeah. That's what I love too. I love teams that are just like house money. Like whatever happens. Like
yeah, they don't care. I mean, what do we got to play for?
The Colts are so exciting right now. It's like I know like they're going out there like we're trying to win, but like it's fun because what happens if we win?
The difference is
if we lose,
AFC South.
Huh? The only difference is
the favorites to win the AFC South this year.
Oh yeah, but that's like dude, like that's long gone. Like nobody thinks they're winning.
I know that's the difference between the Panthers and the Colts, though. Why, like, the Colts have no marquee players right now either. Like, at least Carolina has DJ Moore. Like, it's something. Deontay Foreman.
I don't know about that. I mean, still have DeForest Buckner. Like, that guy's a monster. Like, Michael Pittman is still out there playing good. Like, I mean, maybe they'll shut down JT, but I mean, you never know. Get to watch slinging Sammy Allinger out there. Come on. Stephon Gilmore's out there. Shaquille Leonard played his first game back. Got an interception already, first game. Yeah, they're exciting because like this is like they're almost like the Pacers in a way.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah.
That's why they're not exciting.
No, it is exciting because like the Pacers is like, yeah, man, they've got this piece and this piece and this piece, and then they lose. And so you're just like they're tanking. Like they're tanking for Victor. We're tanking for well, it depends. Like if this regime is still in charge, we're probably tanking for a defensive tackle in the first top 5 picks. We're not gonna take a quarterback. We don't do that around here.
We have one.
I mean, they do right now. He's good. I'm excited for this week. I want to see what he looks like against Big Bill. I'm also not going to kill him if he doesn't look good because that guy's made plenty of people not look good. But anyway, this isn't a cult show. This is a other football show. The Panthers versus the Bengals. Big Drew's going with Joe.
Yeah,
we're going with the Panthers.
Alone.
Yeah, that's crazy. I love it. I love thinking out of the box. All right, let's get on to our next one. The Las Vegas Raiders versus the Jacksonville Jaguars. My boy Josh McDaniels showing out again. Could not happen to a better individual. So excited for the way their season's going this
Are they the biggest disappointment this year?
No. No, the
I don't.
Colts.
I don't think so. Green Bay's got to be up there. Tampa, the Rams.
The Colts.
Most people like Green Bay was a lot of people's Super Bowl pick.
I did have them in the Super Bowl.
Most people didn't have the Colts in the Super Bowl.
No, but they had them at least like being competitive in the playoffs. Like,
yeah, but I mean,
there is a difference between the Super Bowl and the divisional round, though.
Yeah, man, we all picked the Raiders to be the last place team in that division, but I didn't think it'd be this bad.
Oh, I knew. Yeah, I knew. Whenever they hired Josh McDaniels, like, yeah.
I expected them to win last week, but it was something I went back and watched our AFC West preview show a few days ago, like just watched portions of it. And I remember, Landon, you posed a question to me. You said, with the Raiders' tough start to the schedule, do you think it buries their season? And I said, not necessarily, because after they have a really rough stretch, like first few stretch of games, then they have some games that are much more winnable. And they looked like they were starting to win a couple of those. And then they just completely disappeared last week. I don't understand how you play the New Orleans Saints without Marshawn Lattimore, and Devontae Adams has one catch for like 3 yards, was it? On like 4 or 5 targets.
He did not attack any cameramen this time, though. So he's
growth. So step in the right direction. But I don't understand how their offense struggled the way it did. I really don't. I mean, it didn't make sense to me. It really didn't. And their defense isn't going to make up for any offensive struggles. So the offense has to show up. If there's ever a game where the offense doesn't show up, then it's wraps. And because the defense isn't going to keep them in games. So, yeah, no, I think old Doug Peterson's gonna have fun in this one, playing against that Raiders defense, and it's at home. Well, their second home. Their first home is in London, but they're at their secondary home this week again, in Jacksonville. And so I'm. This was the part of the schedule where I was supposed to like. Basically, what I was saying earlier was this was the part of the schedule where I was supposed to like the Raiders, and from what I've seen, I can't even really like them on this part. So I think I'm just out on the Raiders. So I'm going to take the Jags.
I was kind of hoping this game would have been in Las Vegas, so Calvin Ridley would have been in attendance with all the casinos down there.
That's
so
good.
He could have, put his uniform on and jumped on in the game. Man, the Raiders are terrible. I have no take on it outside of they're bad. Derek Carr looks awful. Looks really bad. Josh Jacobs is the best player on the team. And if Josh Jacobs is the best player on your team, you're probably not winning many games. And there's no knock on him. But I guess it is indirectly.
Was that game in Las Vegas? Or was it in
I think
it's in Jacksonville.
No, I'm talking about last week's. Did they play in New Orleans?
I think it was in New Orleans.
Yeah. I know Alvin Kamara went pretty crazy, and I don't know what's really up with him, beating up people from Vegas, but
he does seem to have something against Vegas.
Yeah, he's always beating up people from Vegas, for better or for worse.
So with the Raiders declining Josh Jacobs' option before the season for his 5th year, and then him playing the way he is now, being an unrestricted free agent, do you think that Vegas ends up paying him?
No.
Somebody's going to pay him. Like Josh Jacobs is probably going to be the running back this offseason.
They've got to pay Matt Collins, man. They've got to pay their wide receiver one.
Matt Collins. Yeah, they are giving him the wide receiver.
Foster Monroe and all these elite targets they have. I
want to pose this. What are the odds that Josh McDaniels takes Bijan Robinson in the first round to replace?
I could definitely see that. I could see them being one of the teams to do that.
How disappointed would you be for Bijan Robinson?
I think he would be just fine.
I mean, he's going to be good, but to have Josh McDaniels, that's your coach.
Josh Jacobs has done all right in that scenario this year, and Bijan Robinson is a much better prospect than Josh Jacobs was. So, we'll see how that translates to the NFL level, I would imagine.
I'm curious because they just gave Derek Carr that big extension as well. and he has not been good either.
Devontae Adams, the highest or second highest paid receiver in the league right now. They've got some cap hits on that team.
And I've always, I've liked Derek Carr, but I mean, he really has.
He's been underwhelming this year.
Yeah. I used to have 7 followers on Twitter until I talked about Derek Carr and he unfollowed me.
Yeah, he would block you for sure. He's a big blocker. Which I guess that's the only time he's really getting any blocks.
He's blocked.
He hates waiting for people to block for him, so he just found a scenario where he can block for himself.
I'm gonna block for myself.
I just don't see how this team's worse than the team they had last year. I just don't get it. That division didn't pan out like we thought it was going to.
Coaching, 100%.
Yeah, I mean, like last year,
that's the main difference.
Well, not only that too is like they spent money, like they brought in like Chandler Jones, like they did all that. Like he's been really underwhelming. Like
everybody, it's a better roster than what they had the last season.
Yeah, like everybody they've brought in, except for really Rocky Yassin. Like he's been really good, but most everybody else they've brought in has not performed.
Is Derek Carr not that good?
Well, I mean, Derek Carr, like he's a guy that you have to like game plan around, and right now, like most of the game plan, and it's always kind of been like one of his things that people call him like a check down merchant because he's very like he will take the easy read every time, like for better or for worse. Like if you have to let a route develop to go deep, and you have a running back that's open 5 yards away, he will not take the time to let that route develop. He will take that check down every time. So I think that's hurt them a little bit, which to be fair to him also, like he's probably used to not having time to let that route develop. So he's probably just taking the check down to avoid getting annihilated. But yeah, no bueno. And then Jacksonville on the other side too. I mean, obviously, they had the hot start and now they have fallen back on. The Jaguars are the Jaguars. I still think it's a very young roster who, I mean, I'm not gonna say I'm like super worried about Trevor Lawrence. Like he's shown some stuff. Like I like Trevor Lawrence, but I never thought he was what the media thought he was. Like you heard like the Andrew Luck, Peyton Manning, John Elway comparisons come out, and I never thought that. Like that's just blasphemous to me. But I mean, obviously he's a really good quarterback. And I treat this as kind of just like his rookie year. Like I know we've said it before, is like you can't really judge anybody on that Jacksonville team off of what happened last year. But he's young, he's still making mistakes, but there's a lot to like there. So and I do like the Calvin Ridley move for them. I think that's a good move as well for next year. What's funny is I believe somebody said like the game that he bet on was the Jaguars versus the Falcons.
It was. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, which is hilarious now that he is in Jacksonville.
Full circle.
Yeah.
He bet on himself.
Yeah. So, I mean, like really, like it's kind of stupid. I know we've talked about it before. I don't know why you would ever bet on yourself to win ball games. It's kind of crazy. Whenever you could just literally go out and, like sexually assault almost 30 women instead. Like that was clearly the move. So,
logically, it makes more sense to do that, whenever you consider the time you have to miss from work.
Exactly. Like if you really wanted to play football that bad, I mean, you could have just assaulted some women or, beat a pregnant girl up or done anything like that.
I think there may have been more to Ridley too. I think they originally said it was like some mental health things going on as well.
Well, that was factoring him missing games before the suspension happened. But
look at what Arthur Smith has done to Drew's mental health over the last month. So can you imagine?
It's probably been good for Calvin. He's been away from the game.
The Falcons have more wins than both these teams combined.
That's gross.
Yeah, I will not be watching this game. I can promise you that. But
I might tune into it.
You
Jaguars games have kind of become must-see TV for me, man. As soon as they shipped out James Robinson, Jaguars games became must-see TV for me. The only reason I got up and turned on that London game with them and the Broncos was to watch ETN, and he made it so worth it. The dude just balled out. It's every week he's ripping off a 40-yard run, at least one of them, maybe multiple. Like, the dude's such a special player, and it's just you love to see somebody that you just know and you believe it, like, this guy is really fucking good. And then to just see that come to fruition finally after having to wait through the injuries and through Doug Peterson thinking I should play this running back coming off an Achilles tear instead of just giving the reins to ETN. It's been a long road to get here, but God, I'm so happy to be here now though. And so I feel like I have to watch every Jaguars game now.
It did look good. So yeah, let's go ahead and pick the game here.
I'm taking the Jacksonville ETNs in this one.
Yeah, I'm actually going to take the Jaguars as well.
I will also take the Jaguars.
Look at that.
Clean sweep for the Jags.
AFC South dominance, baby. All right, let's get into our next one here. Oh, yeah, here we go. Miami Dolphins versus Chicago Bears. I'm excited for this one.
This is going to be a fun game.
This is a fun game. With obviously the way that the Bears are now utilizing Justin Fields, thank God. It's like they listened to every smart person. Yeah. And then on top of that, man, it's something I really want to discuss in the Miami Dolphins here, namely the play of Tua right now. So I went back, I watched some stuff, and I've had this debate because obviously I'm a big, I think Justin Herbert is a better, I don't know, if you said a better quarterbacking, but I would rather have Justin Herbert over Tua if I had to choose between the two. Obviously right now Tua is playing much better, but he also clearly, very widely has the much better team around him.
And he's in a better offensive system.
Yeah, oh yeah. Well, Mike McDaniels has been incredible. It's so fun watching the Dolphins offense. It's incredible the way that they utilize their guys. But Tua also deserves a lot of credit for the way this offense is ran. The RPOs, the screens. He's been fantastic. The anticipation, the accuracy, everything that Tyreek Hill said about being on target and being accurate and all that stuff. It's not looking so crazy right now.
No.
So yeah, the way the offense is ran has been fantastic. I love watching them. I've grown a lot as far as being okay with Tua as the franchise guy. Because before, especially coming out of Alabama, I didn't see it. And he still has his limitations, which is just something he's always going to have. It's just physical limitations. I mean, you saw the couple play the deep balls to Tyreek Hill where Tyreek has to go up, he has to stop and come back to the ball. And
yeah, to be fair, the ones that were like that were some that were 50, 60 yard. Tyreek's just so damn fast. He gets down the field so fast that on those throws that everybody always goes back to try to shit on Tua. Tyreek is so deep in those that there's maybe two quarterbacks in the NFL that can even hit that guy and stride that deep down the field in the first place. Tua is not alone in that camp at that point. But if you keep it in a reasonable distance, not 60 yards.
Yeah, the ball will be accurate for sure.
Right.
I basically use it just for the Justin Herbert thing. Is I think Justin Herbert could fully.
He's one of those guys.
Yeah, he would fully unlock that offense in ways that Tua just physically can't. But at the same time, Tua's, the anticipation from Tua. I shared a throw that he made this last week, on my Twitter, and retweeted it. Somebody else had posted the video, obviously, but so he's it's just RPO, and he's three steps into the route, like Jalen Waddell is, and Tua is already releasing the ball, and it was into a very, very tight window. And by the time like Waddell turns around, the ball's like just on him, and he just catches it and falls down. And it was literally just an incredible like throw, and um, he's toying with guys in the RPO game right now. I think the addition of Jeff Wilson is another good thing for them as well. I think he's a good running back for that system because the way Mostert's playing right now, as well, you have a little bit, thunder and lightning. Like Wilson's a more physically imposing type of guy, where Mostert's kind of obviously the guy that can take you deep at any moment in time. And it's been fun. Their offensive line's been really good. I think their defense still has some issues to work through, but getting Bradley Chubb and a lot of that stuff up, I'm super excited. And on the other end, like I said, the Bears, they finally seems like they figured out that they saw what they wanted to see out of Justin Fields, enough to be the franchise guy, to where now it's like, okay, we know for sure he's the franchise guy. Let's we've seen enough. Let's build around him now. So they go get Chase Claypool. They're finally utilizing his skill set more, and he's just like the last two or 3 weeks, he's just been incredible. He's been awesome to watch. So I'm super excited about this game. This will be one that I'm definitely keying in on for the week. I'll probably end up rewatching and posting some stuff from. But yeah, I want to get your guys' opinions on how things have transpired down in Miami and up in Chicago right
now. The Dolphins are one of the most explosive offenses in football, and that tandem is the best tandem in the NFL by a mile. There's really no tandem close to it at this point. We're getting Jeff Wilson's going to be a big addition for that team, and Bradley Chubb. They're going to be able to run the ball more efficiently. Now that Chase Edmonds is gone, they don't have to rotate him in and out. It's just going to be right up the middle, gut runs with Mostert and Jeff Wilson. I think they're a better team than what they were even a week ago.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And on the Bears side of the ball, I don't know, with him just getting traded, I don't know how big a role he'll play right off the rip, but I'm really excited to see what Chase Claypool does for this offense. I'm not like the biggest Chase Claypool guy as an overall receiver, but if you talk about what Claypool does really well in terms of, having top end speed, getting open deep, and then Justin Fields loves to throw the ball deep. And prior to this week, most of his deep passes have been going to guys like Dante Pettis and Quinemius St. Brown. And I can say I don't like Chase Claypool all day, but I like him more than those guys. So I think having an even better pass catcher in that deep role for Justin Fields, once those guys get the chemistry and they're able to work through that together, I think that's going to add another layer to this Bears offense and make them, dare I say, even a little bit exciting, especially if they continue to use Khalil Herbert an efficient amount, because they're a better offense whenever Herbert's on the field, like we've already said on this show and multiple other times over the last 2 years. So, if they continue to do that, hopefully we still continue to see growth from Mooney, Kmet, those guys as well. The Bears aren't all that far away on offense, like maybe one other pass catcher, some better protection for Fields. Like they're, this Claypool trade, even though he's not a wide receiver one, and like that's still what I think that what this team is missing. Like you see all the young quarterbacks that have come up and teams that have decided to build around them, and they go get their franchise quarterback, a Stephon Diggs or a Tyreek Hill, those type of guys. Like I think that's the one thing missing that I'd really like to see from the Chicago team try to address in the offseason through a trade, is try to go get a true number one for your guy. But outside of that and some offensive line help, this offense is almost ready to roll to me. So I've been really preseason to now, I would say my outlook has probably improved on the Bears more than any other team in the league.
now. I agree. So right now, too, just to let you know, they did trade their second-round pick for Claypool, but right now they have over $120 million to spend in free agency, which is they're not
going to be able to address the receiver room with that money, unless they're just like low spending, because the receiver room for free agents is awful. It's ugly. It's really ugly.
But you also never know, who gets cut and who becomes available, and so I mean, like we'll see what happens when that gets there. But also their draft picks, they still have their first rounder, Baltimore's second round pick, third, their fourth, Philly's fourth, a fifth, their fifth, Baltimore's fifth, and a seventh. So that gives them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. They still have 8 picks in the draft and $120 million to spend here. So
it's pretty good.
Who would have thunk it that by week 9 the Chicago Bears would have a better offensive roster than the Green Bay Packers?
It's not on my bingo card.
It's crazy. What's crazy too is like it's almost like you can't even really blame the Packers for that either. I mean, you possibly could in the offseason.
Absolutely, you can.
But I mean, to be fair, like they've tried, with multiple trade targets this offseason. Or not offseason, but this season here at the deadline. It's not like they were just sitting on their hands.
Whenever you're runner up on so many different options, like eventually you got to eat some of that blame. Like you got to try a little harder. You got to be a little bit more aggressive. You got to, like, if you're constantly getting outbid and but like, you're trading up in the second round to draft Christian Watson whenever you could have, I don't know, man. I think that you can easily blame the Packers.
I think you can for this offseason, but I don't think the trade deadline is necessarily like the right way to go about blaming what they've done. And but anyway, let's pick this game because I'm excited for this game. I'm actually going to pick the Dolphins in this one, though. I think the Bears are still a little bit away. The Dolphins are they're so loaded roster-wise right now. It's super fun to watch. I would say arguably they're probably right now with the way Tua is playing, now with the addition of Bradley Chubb as well, I would argue to say they're one of the top 5 teams in football.
Yeah. I mean, you can make an argument for that for sure. I mean, because outside of
when you still have
Philly, Kansas City,
Philly, is there really the other team you're taking over?
There is probably a top 5 team for sure because I can't even think of number 4, Dallas.
Dallas, Minnesota.
Well, yeah, I forget about Minnesota. Yeah, they're close to.
Yeah, but I would still take Miami over both those teams right now, honestly.
I don't know if I could take them over Dallas with how well Dallas's defense is playing. Like, Bradley Chubb is a huge addition, but
that's really the only thing they were lacking is pass rush because like their secondary was good, but those guys were having to cover for a long time.
I don't know, man. The way that Cowboys defense looks, though, Landon, they're like, I mean, they're jumping off the screen right now every week. Like they're.
I'm not saying the Cowboys defense isn't bad. I'm not saying that at all. But I think Miami's offense is a lot better, and now I think their defense is more comparable. I think it's easier to compare Miami's defense now to Dallas as opposed to Dallas's offense to Miami's offense. I think there's a bigger gap there.
It's close
because, like I said, I mean everybody wants to get like. I mean, maybe the linebacking room could improve some there, but their cornerback, like their secondary, has done a really good job. They've just been asked to cover for so long because the lack of pass rush, and now you're getting a guy that's, I think, 3rd in the league in pass rush win rate to pair alongside, and like that's like I said, last night, it's going to open up as well a guy like Jalen Phillips, where. He was having so much attention. He's just a second-year guy, but he's shown flashes. But he's getting a lot of attention right now because he was really their only option there.
Yeah.
So now you're going to have him in more one-on-ones. I love the move. I really think it unlocks a different team, and it's very similar to the way like those early Colts teams were built. Obviously, like I don't know if Tua's like I'm not saying Tua's Peyton Manning or anything, but like. You have the Reggie Wayne, the Marvin Harrison, the Dallas Clark, the good offensive line with the left tackle. Like, the running game is there as well. But now you have 2 legit edge rushers because this team can put up points so fast that teams have to throw to keep up. So,
yes.
Yeah.
That part. I think like Bradley Chubb's going to definitely enhance that defense, and they're going to get to the point where, yeah, you're right. It reminds me of those Colts teams and the Rams, 90s teams a little bit too, to where
like that's what they were missing is they
get turnover.
they're
That's what
missing the
Dallas
40
was
yeah,
a few
they're
years
40
ago.
bats.
Like Dallas led the league in turnovers. That's because they were putting up so many points. Where now that offense isn't what it once was, but it's still not a bad offense. I don't have them over the Cowboys yet. Maybe down the road they could be, but that Mike Parsons is a different level right now, man.
Yeah,
like that pass rush is disgusting.
Yeah, so all right, well, I'm going with Miami. Who are you guys taking in this one?
Take the Dolphins.
Yeah. Please.
Clean
All
sweep.
right, let's get to our next one here. And Drew, I know you were kind of wanting to talk about this one a little bit. Seattle Seahawks versus Arizona Cardinals. You said you wanted to talk about Geno. So I'm going to let the floor.
I just can't get over how well this dude continues to play every single week. I just wait for this to be the week that Geno's going to go back to being the Geno that my brain just knows that he is. And every week he just continues to make more and more and more huge, big time NFL starting quarterback throws. Like I gave up on this being a fluke several weeks ago. Like I am bought in on Geno, but there's still that thing on the back of my mind. It's just like it's gonna drop eventually. The old Geno's gonna come back, and every week he just continues to look better and better. And like it was again against a Giants defense that we have been talking up all season of how they've they've outshined their expectations and things like that as well. And Daniel Jones outshined his expectations, and Geno definitely showed which of them two was the better starting quarterback in the NFL right now. And those are two guys that teams are going to have to decide if they want to pay long term or not. And I think we said even before the matchup, whenever we were talking about whenever we were previewing the Giants and Seahawks matchup, we talked about, like right now I'm probably more confident paying Geno, but they both, in both scenarios still make me nervous. But it's like, I like this is just going to be like the most fun thing for me to watch the entire year, because I can't wait to see what the hell the NFL does with Geno Smith if he continues to play like this, because he's easily playing like a top 10 quarterback in the league right now. And then if you want to get down the list even more than that, like it's going to be tough for me to argue with you. I mean, the dude's making big time throw after big time throw. Even some of the Lockett had a couple bad drops that would have made his stat line and his highlight reel look even better.
When I tagged you in earlier, like that was a touchdown.
And then there was another one that was very uncharacteristic for Lockett as well. And it's just like it's crazy, man. And now he gets a Cardinals defense that has been better than they were at the start of the year. The Cardinals defense is starting to play a little bit better. But with Geno playing the way he is right now, it's so weird to say this, but the Cardinals defense does not scare me for Geno, because Geno's balling. Like for me to even say that is just sounds so weird, but that's where I'm at right now, man. I'm just blown away, and I want to give the dude his flowers, because every week, like I said, I'm waiting for old Geno to come back and me be like, here we go. The world's back to normal. But I'm glad he keeps proving me wrong, though, because he's an easy guy to root for, and he's fun to watch play. So like I consider it a win in my book that I was wrong about Geno coming into this year.
He didn't write back.
No. We all wrote him off. He didn't write back.
I'll say one more thing too. Seattle as a whole deserves their flowers. That offensive lines look phenomenal. The running games look fantastic. Their defense has played extremely well. For
the pieces they're given. Yeah.
Pete Carroll right now is coach of the year, in my opinion. Like if the season was to end tomorrow, Pete Carroll would be coach of the year.
I still have Mike Rabel. I said I still have Mike Rabel. I think Rabel's my coach of the year right now. But
no, I mean Tennessee is not. They're not what we thought they were going to. I mean, Tennessee's used to winning. Seattle is not. They haven't been winning for years, and like this was the
I
team.
don't know about that. I mean, Seattle's won plenty of games over the last decade. I mean,
I'm talking. I mean, at the beginning of the year, man, when there was talks, they would be in consideration for the number 1 pick.
Yeah, no, I agree with that.
And Tennessee was not in that same breath.
Well, he's not to y'all.
Seattle is in a tougher division. Their schedule's been tougher than Tennessee's. I don't know, man. If I had a vote in it, Pete Carroll would be head coach of the year right now.
Yeah, it probably should be like between him and Vrabel and Brian Daboll, and like they just beat Daboll this past week. So yeah, I'm impressed too. The front office, they had whiffed on quite a few draft picks and signings and things like that leading up to this year, but man, they knocked it out of the fucking park with this draft class and with the free agency.
One foundational draft.
Wow, and they did that, man. Holy cow. And then trading Russ, flipping him for those picks, Gino looking the way he's looking right now, what they did with the picks this past year, like that front office is having one hell of a year. And that is just, it blows me away, man. Blows me away. But yeah, it's fun though. They're a really fun team to watch.
Yeah, I like watching Seattle. Cardinals have played decent as well. They're
starting to play better.
Yeah, they're getting there. So
that catch from Hopkins, that one-handed catch for the touchdown.
Amazing what happens when you have an elite wide receiver come back.
God, dude,
that was incredible.
That's another guy that just makes me smile to watch play, man. Like it's like how I feel watching ETN and stuff. It's that way with Hopkins too.
I love it, man. I love it when that AFC South trades receivers like that. When other teams like get rid of guys like that in the AFC, like AJ Brown, like DeAndre Hopkins.
I don't understand, man.
I love it. So,
I don't get it.
All right, so let's get into our next one. Oh, we didn't pick this one. I'm going to take Seattle.
I am too.
Yeah! Let's go. Let's go, Gino.
You taking the Cardinals?
Taking the Cardinals.
Yeah. That's another game that I'm excited to watch.
This is the first time pretty much all year where Arizona is confident again on offense. With getting it's amazing what one person does for an offense, but it allows their defense to play a little bit more aggressive. And I think Arizona is about to peak a little bit. They're gonna make a little run. We got the Cardinals.
I could see it.
Yeah, I mean, until it happens, I'm not picking the Cardinals to peak in November and December. Usually, that's when they.
I get it. But it was a completely different team that was on the field last week than what it's been all year.
Yeah,
I love they're actually using Kyler in the they're using his legs a little bit more. Imagine that. Crazy how that works.
Who could have seen that as something that needed to happen?
Wild. All right, let's get into our next game. Big Drew, Los Angeles Rams versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
The Dust Bowl.
Yeah, it's like which
preseason contender doesn't suck the most?
Yeah, which immobile quarterback gets hit the least?
Oh, it's going to be a bloodbath for both quarterbacks, dude. It's about to be so ugly. This is going to be the ugliest clean pocket game that I've ever watched. Like I can't wait to see the time to throw for these two quarterbacks in this game. It's gonna be nothing but fucking screens and quick slants and just get that ball out of their hands as fast as possible for both of them, man. It's such a shame too. Just thinking back just last year, and the last 2 years, there's been so many entertaining, fun to watch games between these two teams. Like the playoff game last year that came down to the last second, and then even the last couple regular season games have been tight too, like just explosive offense, just fun football. And then now fast forward just 1 year, not even a full year since the last time these teams played each other in the playoffs, and we're talking about how gross this is going to be. It's like, man, the NFL really is not for long. Like, and it just, I know we say this probably 4 or 5 times throughout the year, every single year, but it just really puts into perspective and really shines a light on how special what Brady, Bill, and the Pats did for so long, because every other team struggles to keep that level for like 3 years. Like even then, if a team can be like extremely competitive and rack up a couple Super Bowls in a 3-4 year period, you're like, oh wow, they did something, extremely rare, extremely special. And it's just it blows my mind thinking back to what those guys did. But yeah, I'm not excited for this one at all. And like coming into the season, seeing this game on the schedule, I was like, oh, I can't fucking wait for week 9.
You know what Drew sounded like? He sounded like that old man is like, well, that's not music. This is what music is. That's not what my LA Rams and my Tampa Bay Buccaneers are.
That's right, man. Back in my day, these two football teams were actually good.
This is the Jurassic Park game of the week, where it's 2 fossils out there to see who gets extinct first. It's going to be rough, man. I think both these teams are in trouble. I mean, obviously, like they're, San Francisco getting McCaffrey, and they're just a younger team. Like that, their defense is better than the Rams right now. And then Tampa may still win this division. They're not making any kind of run in the postseason. Like, it's not going to happen. Yeah, it's sad that, Old Yeller's getting taken out back, but here we are.
Hey, he hasn't been benched yet like Matt Ryan, so I guess he's still doing all right.
Well, they don't have Sam Ellinger on the bench, Landon, as an option.
That's also true.
Yeah. Brady's looked terrible. Like, Matthew Stafford looked terrible. They've looked bad.
I think Brady's looked terrible. I don't think that. I don't think Brady's the issue at all there. He's still making fantastic throws, but he's being let down a lot, man. Like, that defense has been awful. Like, they can't run the ball at all.
Neither one of these teams can run the ball. I think they might actually be, by the numbers, I think they might be the 2 worst rushing offenses in the NFL.
Yeah. But who would have thought?
They're both in the bottom 5.
Yeah, I mean, like, everything is dependent on him passing the ball, which he doesn't necessarily have a lot of time to do. Like, I think their tackles have been fine, but the interior pressure is just, it's a quarterback killer, especially with like immobile guys like, Stafford. And Stafford's a little bit more mobile than Brady, but they're still, nobody's going to confuse him for a guy that's going to, catch the run game. Mm-hmm. But, it's almost like the opposite, like the tackle play. Well, I think just the play in general for the offensive line for the Rams has been awful. But at least, like with Brady, like guys like Tristan Wirfs are still playing good, but just the interior pressure. And that's always been the way to kill Tom Brady. Like throughout his whole career, it doesn't matter if he was in his prime or not. If you can get interior pressure on Tom Brady, like you will have success against him. That's why the Patriots were so good for so long, was because they always protected the interior. They always had top 10 offensive lines around him. And they were able to let him go to work. And the Buccaneers are not. And then on top of that, now you've got a bad defense, and you have like you can't run the ball at all either. So yeah, like he's it just goes to show you that even the greatest quarterback of all time, it doesn't matter who's back there. If you can't protect those guys, if you can't run the football, if you play bad defense, that quarterback wins narrative goes right out the window, because you're not going to win a lot of football games like that. It doesn't matter who the guy is. So, and even the Rams. Look at the Rams and Sean McVay's tenure. And now, they're 32nd, I believe, in offensive DVOA, or not DVOA, but basically in almost every major offensive metric, the Rams are 32nd in the league. Does that mean Matt Stafford just learned how to not be a good quarterback? Does that mean Sean McVay's just not a good coach now? No, it has nothing to do with that. It's all dependent. Like, it's so hard to run a proper offensive scheme with bad offensive line play. It's you just can't do it. And I know a lot of that's not necessarily their fault because they've dealt with a lot of injuries along their line. I mean, you're playing like third, fourth stringers. You can't control that, but I mean, yeah, it's just bad all the way around. It's tough to watch, and so I'm not. Once I'm not a fan of either of these teams, I'm probably like I'll check in on this game every now and then, but probably not going to do much watching.
Yeah, I will unfortunately be watching this one, and there will likely be other games on that I would rather be watching more, but I will not be able to look away. It's just like a bad train wreck every week where I want to look away, but I can't. Instead, I just watch the whole fucking thing every week. So it probably won't be any different this week. But that being said, I'm taking the Bucs.
I'm going to take the Rams. They have Aaron Donald.
They do still have that guy.
Aaron Donald. That's good. Yeah, I'm also going to take the Buccaneers in this game. Just because I think there is still a little bit more along the offensive line than the Rams have right now. So I think it's going to be a lot easier for them to move the ball. And as great as Aaron Donald is, the pass rush around him has still kind of lacked a little bit. I think that's why they were looking at adding pass rushers. And
Leonard Floyd finally showed up and had a couple sacks this past week, but prior to that, the pass rush outside of AD hadn't been good, and the secondary play outside of Jalen Ramsey, they're just dealing with so many injuries. Like similar to the offensive line, they got fourth and fifth stringers playing corner right now, next to Jalen which Troy Hill came back this past week, but they're still waiting on a couple guys. So yeah, the secondary is dealing with injuries, offensive line's dealing with injuries. I mean, it's just
yeah, and I mean, like even then, I mean, like you still have like Cooper Kupp's dealing with an injury now. Like he should still be good, but he's still hurt. But you still have Mike Evans, you still have Chris Godwin, like you still have pieces along that line.
Can I read something off to you guys real quick?
Yeah, sure.
This is the current standings in the NFL right now. AFC East, Buffalo Bills, first place, mobile quarterback. AFC West, Kansas City, can be a mobile quarterback. AFC North, mobile quarterback, Baltimore Ravens. AFC South, the Titans, two quarterbacks that can move, because Willis started last week. The Eagles, mobile quarterback, 7-0. The Seahawks, semi-mobile quarterback with Geno Smith. He can run. Yes. Yep. The Vikings are the only team right now that do not have a mobile quarterback that are in first place. Because the Atlanta Falcons have a mobile quarterback and they lead the NFC South.
Hey, you know who had a rushing touchdown last week?
Kirk Cousins.
Kirk Cousins. It was a good one, too.
Yeah, did you see that? It was like 15, 20 yards.
He rolled out and dipped down that line.
I stand corrected. Every team.
Yeah, exactly.
That's right.
Let's shout out Kirk Cousins' mobility now.
That's where we're at.
That's pretty wild, man.
That is the NFL. It's done. Fantasy football has officially won. Like this is the NFL in 2022.
Yeah,
the pocket quarterback is official.
I mean, like we've always it's not even necessarily fantasy. Like we've seen this trend now, like for years. Like because you remember, like in the mid 2000s, all of the the older coaches were kind of lambasting how the game is moving more towards college. We saw like the 07 Dolphins had the Wildcat. Now you got spread offenses. You got more RPOs. The college game was growing at an insane rate where the NFL was still, mainly a pocket passer league. That's what teams looked like. They were unwilling to change. But eventually, as these younger coaches get in there, your Kyle Shanahan's, your Sean McVays, your, Frank Reich's, your, these guys that utilize, Cliff Kingsbury, I'm going to say what you will, but I mean, he is like, they're college, there's a lot of college similar systems. They all come from that West Coast RPO heavy, type of stuff. And, that stuff's as we go further and further with the way offenses and teams are evolving, that you're going to start to see that. And this is like what you've seen the last couple of years is the culmination of something that's been happening over the last 20 years in football and in the NFL is now it's the college game is almost fully integrated in, and even now to an extent, now you're seeing things done in college, like with Tennessee's offense. Like that's still like not done in the NFL. Like, you know, you're never going to have those wide receiver like choice option routes like that to that extent, at least. You know, the split wide formations, the one read, you know, heavy, you know, grip it and rip it type of throws. You know, it's a completely different thing. But who's to say? And you know, 15 years from now, we're not looking back at the way Tennessee's playing now and saying like, you know, seeing concepts from that. You know,
Right.
The league changes.
Yeah, it evolves, and you either evolve, you evolve with it, or you're left behind.
So I'll make one more statement. I hate to be this guy, but right now, I'm not saying that this quarterback I'm about to mention is better than Matthew Stafford or Tom Brady, because he's not. He's unproven. Both of these teams would have a better chance of winning right now if they had a Justin Fields.
Yeah, well, I mean, like I can see where the argument's coming from. I mean, I don't think you're completely off base, but I would love to see Justin Fields with Sean McVay. Like, I would love to see. I would love to see.
You give Justin Fields with Tampa's offensive line, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin.
Well, Tampa's offensive line isn't good.
I understand. He gives them a better chance of winning than Tom Brady does at this point.
I think probably from like a physical standpoint, yeah. But I think,
and I'm not talking about like long-term career, because that's insane to think that Justin Fields is in the same breath as either one of those guys. But
just for 2022,
at this current point,
I can see that.
That's argument. A very interesting point. I see I do see where you're coming from, and I'm trying to find a way to disagree with it for the sake of having the conversation. But I don't really think you're wrong.
No, I don't disagree with it at all.
Like especially for the Rams.
Yeah, I think the Rams with him Fields would be insane.
Because he gets an upgrade at play caller, he gets an upgrade in weapons.
Yeah, and that's the thing is like that's the different. Like that's what's so hard about projecting other quarterbacks onto other teams, is because you're projecting the current version of that quarterback and who they are right now onto that team. But we don't know what Justin Fields would be if he had gotten a Sean McVay to start his career, or if he had gotten, you know, some of these guys, like, you know, if he wasn't with Matt Nagy and, you know, Luke Getsy now, who just over the last 2 weeks has finally figured out how to use him correctly. There's a very strong chance that Sean McVay is likely figuring out very quickly on how to use that guy correctly.
Well, I mean, look at how patient Philadelphia's been very patient with Jalen Hurts, man. There was a lot of people just last year that was talking about him being benched for Gardner Minshew.
There was plenty of
7-0 and he's an MVP candidate.
So there was plenty of people even coming into this year that were saying, like, you know, this like after this season, the Eagles are going to have to find a new quarterback because Jalen Hurts isn't going to be the answer. And
he's definitely the answer.
Yeah, boy, were they wrong on that one. But yeah, no, I think that's a good point, and it's a very interesting conversation to have. I struggle. I struggle with saying, like, yeah, he would be better than the guy that just won my team a Super Bowl last year. But the logic and why you're saying it makes sense. It fucks with my brain.
It's a hard pill to swallow. I mean,
it is. It's weird.
It's definitely like, I mean, I like Stafford. I like Brady. Right now, if I have no offensive line, I want neither one of those guys.
That's why the Colts went to Ellinger.
It's the same equivalent. It's the same scenario as Matt Ryan in Indianapolis.
It's a hard conversation to have. A lot of people were pissed off about it, but you saw this last week. I know they didn't win the game, and I know they scored 16 points.
They looked like an NFL team.
Yeah, I was going to say, but you were still able, outside of the turnovers, they were able to move the ball up and down the field.
You thought they had a chance to win. With Matt Ryan, there's not been one game this year where I thought they would win. Even when they beat Kansas City, I didn't think they'd win that game.
Yeah, well, I mean, like, to be fair, like, whenever he did, like, the game he did have protection, like, semi-good protection in Jacksonville there.
He had one good game all year. And that was against Jacksonville.
Yeah, which that's the only game he had semi-good protection.
I get it, but the scenario and why I pose the
Yeah,
question,
that's what I'm saying. Like that's a
same thing
strong
is going on
argument
with
for your
Tampa
point.
in Los Angeles right now.
Yeah, that's a good argument for your point. Yeah. So I mean, it's not necessarily that these guys are bad quarterbacks, but
No, they're in bad situations, and at their point of their lifespan in the NFL, it's just they can't. If the Rams or
can't
if Tampa
overcome.
Bay had the same offensive line they had even the previous year, Tampa Bay be running away with that division right now because they're a more talented
The
team.
Rams had the offensive line they had last year.
Right.
Yeah.
But they don't, and it's starting to show that having no mobility whatsoever with a statue quarterback, especially an older quarterback,
These are gone.
your season's done. Both these teams are done. I mean, Tampa has a shot to make the playoffs because of the division they play in, but they're not making any run.
Yeah. I mean, I completely agree with the point. I think you're very on base with it. So.
It's going to be really interesting to see this new wave of quarterback take over the playoffs, because we've still even with like running quarterbacks kind of getting, being more, I guess, being more common and taking over the game, as Jared kind of laid it out. If you still look back at the Super Bowls, we're used to the Bradys and Big Bens and
Joe. You still have guys like Joe Burrow,
Stafford, yeah. Like a lot of it's here lately, and then in recent past, a lot of the quarterbacks on the big stage have been those pocket guys. I said like Mahomes has obviously been in a fair share of Super Bowls, and he's more of a dual threat than the other guys I've listed. But like with how dominant these teams are being with these mobile quarterbacks, we're gonna be seeing a lot more of that in the playoffs and a lot more of that in Super Bowl matchups and things like that too. And I'm just interested to see what the next version of what was that graphic that was going around for so long? It was like the last so many Super Bowls in the AFC have come, like, the Super Bowl participants has been either Big Ben or Peyton or Brady.
Oh,
it was like 18 years or something,
It was just one of those three.
Right. And then a Flacco sprinkled in there. But I'm really interested to see, what that looks like moving forward, because I feel like the quarterback that we're looking at, to Jared's point, is going to be looking a lot different. And now I'm sitting here talking about this, and I'm a little worried because the Rams don't have that answer at quarterback right now. In terms, like, if the magic key to winning in the NFL is going to be you need to have a dual threat quarterback, my team's got some work to do. So,
well, that's why I was kind of excited so much for what the Colts did. They bit the bullet, and they're moving towards. Right now, they're moving towards a top 10 pick right now at the moment. So
yeah, and the other alarming thing is you can disguise a non-mobile quarterback with a good offensive line and a running game, and neither one of these teams have that.
It's very true.
I think too. At the end of the day, quarterback play, you still have to evolve as a pocket passer, but where these guys are so different is like Jalen Hurts. Is he mobile? Yes, he's a pocket passer. Lamar Jackson, can he kill you with his legs? Yes, absolutely. He can also throw from the pocket. There's a lot of you still have to have that in your bag. Absolutely. But while that is developing, you're seeing a lot more like Justin Fields now. Like Justin Fields, eventually you would love to see him get to that point to where, and I think he has the tools and the talent to be a pocket passer where he can kill you on that. But while that develops, it also, the rushing upside, everybody talks about the upside of it. Nobody talks about the floor it gives you as an offense whenever you're rushing from the quarterback. The equivalent of, when you're looking at EPA numbers, the equivalent of a quarterback that can rush, even just semi well, quarterback runs is the same equivalent of MVP quarterback play from the pocket, in it, efficiency metrics. So I mean, it raises the floor of who you are as a quarterback as well. So even though you might not be the greatest pocket passer like Lamar, like I think he's really good at that stuff, and like they have a really surrounding him. But even then, like his floor is so high on how he can beat you, because on a day where he's not his best in the pocket, or he's not seeing things the best, he's having a down day, he can still kill you in other ways. Like there's no, like you can't defend guys like that. It's so hard to defend guys like that. So, yeah, I agree. I'm excited to see where this league's heading. It's more fun too. Like it really
Yeah, it is that.
much more fun. Like these guys are so hard to defend, and yeah, it's awesome. So this game will not feature either of those type of plays.
It will not.
So, all right, let's get into another game here. I have two more to go. This one and the Monday night game. So Sunday Night Football, we have the 5-2 Tennessee Titans taking on the Kansas City Chiefs at home at Arrowhead. This
brother.
Yeah, this, like, I'll say this too, like the Titans, like the way they're coached, they're extremely prepared, they're extremely impressive. But I mean,
this is just as bad of a matchup as you can get for Tennessee.
This is just a holder. And I know they beat the brakes off of them last year. I get that. But
like
this isn't the same Tennessee.
Fulton's been playing better in the secondary for Tennessee. But like overall, basically the way that I look at this matchup is you've got a team with a top 3, top 4 run defense in the league going up against a team that doesn't give a shit if they can't run the ball.
Right.
Like they'll just let Mahomes throw it 50 times and just tear this secondary to pieces and essentially just run through the air, with dinks and dunks, and then eventually beating you over the top. And
they have Kadarius Toney also.
Precision attacks. Yeah, they got Toney. We'll see how much he factors in his first game. I imagine it would probably take him a little bit to get acclimated, but I've read a lot of people praising Toney's football mind and his ability to pick up plays quickly. So, could be a possibility he's a factor sooner rather than later. But yeah, I just don't think that this is a very good matchup at all for the Tennessee Titans. And Kansas City does get they get Trent McDuffie back this week. Trent McDuffie's coming off IR. Will be a rookie corner out of Washington that we were pretty high on this show. That'll be a nice boost to a Chiefs secondary that has struggled a little bit. But they don't have, there's not a huge passing threat here coming from the Tennessee side. So like even if the secondary was a little beat up, it's like there's not like guys that you really just got to hone in on. So I think this right here, the Chiefs and the Bills are the reasons why it doesn't matter how good the Titans play in the regular season. I'm never going to be excited for their playoff aspirations because they are just not built to keep up with these teams. And this just screams terrible matchup to me whenever I look at it for the Titans. So while the Titans have played really well and they always are really well coached, that can only get you so far. Like you saw the Titans have already played Buffalo this year.
Yeah.
And you saw that happen. I would imagine this game was it won't be as bad as Buffalo because I don't believe Kansas City is quite as good as Buffalo, even though it's not a huge gap. I do think Buffalo's a little bit better. But I think it's going to be a very similar ugly game for Tennessee whenever they play Kansas City. I don't like this matchup for them at all.
I agree.
No, and I also think Kansas City too. I'm sorry, Jerry. Go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, I know it's a small sample, but Malik Willis did not look NFL ready, even against Houston last week.
Oh, no.
So
yeah, he's definitely not.
The only chance the Titans have in this game is Derrick Henry. That is literally the only chance they have. And there's always that small possibility against an elite offense where Derrick Henry just destroys. He did it last year to Buffalo. He's done it in the past to Kansas City. But that's the only chance they have because the receiving core is not good enough. They can't score enough points. They can't match up what Kansas City's wide receivers or quarterback situation. And I think the Chiefs have a better defense too. So that being said, I'll take the Chiefs. I'll go ahead and make my pick.
Yeah, I think I've said enough of my spiel. I will also be taking the Chiefs.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like you look at the teams they beat. I mean, you know, the Raiders, the Colts, the Commanders, the Texans. You know,
They beat the teams they should beat.
Yeah, like this is completely different. I mean, like they lost to the Giants. Like the only decent teams they've played this year, like even remotely decent teams, they've lost to. And I know like the Giants game was close because the Giants.
But I think that's another element.
Bills, you know, like they murdered them, and like this is finally like since that Bills game, like I said, they've been, you know, this 5 wins in a row now.
Yeah, I think that goes back to you guys' take on Mike Vrabel being coach of the year, and you have a good argument on that because unlike a lot of NFL coaches, he wins games he should win. Like a lot of these coaches go in ill-prepared and they get stomped by teams they have no business getting beat by. In some cases, shut out. That's happened a few times to teams that should win in situations they're in. And Vrabel goes in, takes care of business, and that's it. And with that, that's the definition. That's the stamp on a well-run organization. And I think the Titans are a well-run organization. They need playmakers to make a run in the AFC, and they just don't have them.
Yeah, they should look at trading for a guy like A.J. Brown.
Yeah, it's almost like they were trying to blow up the team.
He would fit a guy like that. Seems like he would fit really well for Tennessee and really boost that offense. They should.
Well, they drafted their A.J. Brown.
Yeah, it sucks too because just as soon as Treylon Burks started to get
I think he's going to be good.
He got hurt. Yeah, I still think Burks is going to be fine, but it's definitely a long-term thing. You know, like he wasn't going to come in. He was never going to come in and immediately be A.J. Brown.
Absolutely.
And I don't think he ever will be A.J. Brown, but I do think he can be a very dangerous weapon for an NFL offense. But it's going to take time, and the injuries he's had to deal with just means it's going to take even more time. So
a part of me wants to think that they did that trade for other reasons to almost quote unquote tank a season because they know that Tannehill is not going to get them to the next step.
No, they didn't.
I could see the front office thinking that way, but like you're never going to get Vrabel to buy into that though.
No, it's obvious. I mean, they've won 5 games.
That's the problem. Like the front office can try to make them suck, but Vrabel's too good of a coach.
Well, no, I mean, like I would say, like I would agree.
It's the Major League, like the movie Major League.
Like if they didn't draft
him, fucks this guy. This guy's dead.
I would agree with that if they didn't draft Malik Willis. It's almost like they're trying to do a rebuild on the fly. You know, where that guy sits and develops for a couple years. Obviously, you know, by that point, Derrick Henry's probably gone. You're probably looking at another running back. Treylon Burks is developing. So by the time this current regime here in a year or two are ready to move on, or not regime, but like, you know, this current, you know, crop of players they have are ready to move on. You know, Ryan Tannehill, Derrick Henry, you know, all those type of guys. Then you have somebody that can step in and, you know, kind of have a transition there. The problem with doing that is, you know, you circumvent tanking to an extent. You're never truly tanking, I guess. Like, I don't think I hate the word tanking because I don't think any team tanks. Like, I don't think it's
maybe that's a little too brash, but
yeah, I don't like the term, I guess. But no, like they're trying to rebuild while still being competitive.
Yeah.
They have those guys in place. Now, if they didn't draft a quarterback or they didn't trade A.J. Brown and stuff, like, and they went into this season, you know, just trying to make one more run with these guys, like I think next year you could have possibly seen it, but the draft picks they made are kind of indicative on where they want to go for the future of this franchise. So, I mean, we'll see. You know, it is what it is. But like I said earlier, I mean, you're talking about like that quote I said earlier, you know, who are your 5 best players? Because that's generally where this game's decided. I mean, you look at Tennessee's 5 best players on their team, and then you look at Kansas City's 5 best players on their team. And it is
not even close.
Yeah, it's a stark contrast. So, yeah, it's just not a good matchup. And I think Kansas City too. Like, I think they're a little bit jolted on getting their ass kicked last year in Tennessee. Like, I think they're going to come out and try to prove a point. Plus, you have Andy Reid coming off of a bye week as well.
And a loss.
Yeah, and yeah, this could be a little bit interesting. Of course, you know, you never know it's the NFL, but yeah, I'm going to take the Chiefs in this.
Yep, I am too.
I'll take the Chiefs.
There you go. All right. So let's get into our Monday night matchup here. Baltimore Ravens at the New Orleans Saints going down to New Orleans, the Big Easy. Now we get, I'm curious to see now, this is another Baltimore Ravens. This is another team that kind of made like an all-in type of move here. They're going to get Roquan Smith, to add to their linebacker core. Excuse me. So, now the Saints, I still don't know what they are. I still don't know if they know what they are. Like,
I think they do now. I know, like, if they're going to stick with Andy Dalton, I think they do. You try to make it to where Andy doesn't have to do too much, and let Alvin Kamara do as much as humanly possible for this offense, and then just let Andy Dalton throw it to Chris Olave a handful of times whenever he has to, and only whenever he has to. That kind of feels like what this team is.
Here's your exception to a non-mobile quarterback: Taysom Hill, Alvin Kamara. Makes Andy Dalton technically a mobile quarterback.
Yeah, because he just hands it to the really mobile guys and gets out of the way.
Or if it's they sub Taysom Hill in, he's playing like half the snaps right now.
Yeah. Yeah, this team is a team that's definitely just waiting on their defense to get healthy. Like, I think offensively they know what they want to be. It's just game script might dictate them to have to get away from that from time to time. Obviously, last week against the Raiders, game script did not dictate them to get away from it because the Raiders couldn't score. So the Saints got to play the football. I think what we saw from the Saints last week, that's what they want to be every week. Now, they want to score 28 plus points and get a shutout every week. Yeah, every team wants to be that. I'm just saying in general philosophy of how they played, just letting Kamara do most of the work, letting Andy Dalton only do what he has to. I think I think that's the Saints in a nutshell this year, and that teams like that can be decent regular season teams, maybe even squeak into the playoffs. The Saints, as constructed, is not a team that's going to be scaring anybody come the playoffs. Now, on the other side of the ball, the Ravens are constructed as a team that is far from healthy, and they're still scary. And if they're able to stay on top of this division and get healthy and go into the playoffs healthy with the roster they got, this is a team that people need to be scared of. Like, if I was a fan of an AFC team not named the Baltimore Ravens, and I see the Baltimore Ravens on the schedule, I'm not feeling good about that. Assuming that they do get healthier as the season goes on, assuming, Mark Andrews doesn't have lingering issues all year. Rashad Bateman eventually gets to come back. Gus Edwards and J.K. Dobbins both get healthy. Like, adding Roquan Smith to that defense, Kyle Hamilton continuing to come into his own. The other pieces they have in the secondary, Marlon Humphrey, Marcus Peters, the pass rush they got. They just activated. What's old boys, David Ojabo. They just activated David Ojabo.
And Bowser, I think.
Yeah, like, look out, man.
Get healthy.
Hey, what did I tell y'all before, too, at the beginning of the season when I said don't sleep on Isaiah Likely? I told you not to sleep on that cat. Now Mark Andrews is banged up.
If Mark Andrews misses time, I have no problem sleeping and not sleeping on him. Like, I'm with you at that point. But if Mark Andrews is healthy and active, I don't give a shit about Isaiah Likely. He's a good player, but Mark Andrews needs to be missing for me to care.
The only thing I need is Mark Andrews to miss enough time for Kyle Pitts to be tight end 1 at the end of the season, so I can be right.
If Mark Andrews gets rolled out for the rest of the season, you might have a shot.
I may have a shot. Kyle Pitts has been cooking the last few weeks.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, no, I like Isaiah Likely, the player, but
Well, yeah, well, I mean, I'm not talking about from like a fantasy perspective.
I'm saying real life too. I mean, whenever Mark Andrews has been fully healthy, his production has been little to none.
Well, I mean, I think they're slowly increasing his role. Though you can see the play time going up and up and up every week. He's getting more involved. I mean, he's a rookie tight end. I mean, they're not just going to throw him out there with Mark Andrews.
I know. I'm just saying his play time going up has coincided with Mark Andrews being banged up. You know, like those things have been connected these last few weeks. I like Likely the player. I just like if Mark Andrews is out there, he's not going to be doing much.
I don't know. I've just always been a big fan of him. I loved him coming out this year. So, yeah, I think that's going to be fun. I don't really think they missed too much of a beat there. You know, as far as like in the passing, like they will miss Mark Andrews blocking. They'll miss the leadership. They'll miss stuff like that. But as far as like playmaking in the pass game, I don't really think there's like a true. I do think Likely he's actually a better yards after catch guy than Andrews is. I think Andrews is a better route runner for sure. But I think as far as yards after catch, you could see even a little bit more explosion from there. But I mean, they're two different types of players. But I mean, it's this is a guy like I've been really excited about, and then now he's finally getting an opportunity to step up into a big role. And we saw it last week. Some like we saw what he could be last week.
Yeah, if Mark Andrews is out of the picture, they'll be just fine.
Yeah,
Isaiah Likely is a talented player.
Yeah, I mean, like it was like that in the preseason. This isn't just like a one thing, like a one game thing for him either. Like there's been glimpses of this. Now
he was a part of the all hype team this preseason.
Yeah, like this is like multiple. I mean, he was like that too, like coming out. You know, of I think it was like Coastal Carolina, if I'm not mistaken, is where he was drafted out of. But let me double check because I don't want to be completely wrong on that. I'd have to look at this.
No, I'm pretty sure you're right.
Could the Saints win the South?
Yeah, they could. I mean, it's not out of the realm of possibilities. They could definitely win the South. Fuck, the Falcons are in first place right now. Any team can win if the Atlanta Falcons can be in first place in the division, then that means it's open for anybody to win it. The XFL team that Antonio Brown's trying to start on Twitter could probably win the NFC South this year. If the Atlanta Falcons are in the running for it. So New Orleans could absolutely still win the division. I don't think that's out of question at all. Especially if they just put Jameis back in. I want Jameis back so bad, man.
Things are so much more exciting with that guy.
I need 2020 Jameis out there on the field, man.
Oh my Lord. Fantasy God, Jameis Winston.
2020 vision, Jameis Winston, and ever since he got LASIK, we ain't really got to see too much of him. I'm fully bought in that it was just the vision issues, and that was the only thing.
You couldn't see the other team's defenders.
Yeah. They all look like the same. He just thought everybody was open.
30 for 30.
Oh gosh. Well, let's go ahead and pick this game, fellas. I'm going to take. I want to take the.
You don't feel good about it.
No, I don't feel good about it. But I'm
go ahead and take Baltimore.
Yeah, I'm taking the Ravens.
I will take the Saints.
Oh, we got another split. The Saints are interesting, man. They're a very interesting
team at home, man. That's a completely different team in that stadium.
Mm-hmm.
They are. I do worry because Lamar has not been playing good football recently.
The past couple weeks have been rough.
Yeah, so I'm like, I want to see him bounce back before I'm fully buy on to the Ravens. But especially too, like they don't have weapons there. Like their lack of, receiving weapons.
Yeah,
it's tough.
Sucks.
Maybe we'll get Deshaun Jackson for 1 week this week, and like we all know, like if that guy plays one or 2 weeks, I mean he's gonna go nuclear.
He's gonna catch at least one 50-yard bomb.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens, but All right. So that takes care of our week 8 or week 9. This is week 9, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, man.
Season's about to be halfway over.
Flying by.
It really is.
That's crazy. We're only halfway through. So yeah, man, it's going to be fun. There's a lot of good football being played as well. Good college matchups, some good NFL matchups this week as well. So I'm super excited for a full weekend of football here. Probably gonna fire up that grill, drink me some cold brews. I saw that they got all the holiday beers are out now. The Christmas beers are out.
Yeah, the Christmas ones are out. Yeah.
If you've never had the Kentucky Bourbon Barrel Ale, that beer.
Mm-hmm.
They have a peppermint porter that they do, and it literally tastes like, if you like peppermint patties, like the York peppermint patties, it literally tastes like you're drinking a liquid version of that.
Holy cow,
that's pretty wild.
Man, they're incredible. They only come out during the holiday season. I saw a 4-pack today, and I was like, oh yeah, it's going there.
It's showtime.
Yeah, I got my Hershey's chocolate beer. It's back for the holidays from Yingling, so I got that. Probably gonna have one of those here in a second, and then
it sounds like the diabetes of like beer.
Well, I mean, like it's not sweet. It's not sugary. It's just like it's a porter. Like, I mean, it's like coffee beers or chocolate stout beers.
So, are you guys eggnog fans then?
Oh yeah, I love eggnog.
Yeah, it's okay.
Eggnog with some, as long as it's got bourbon in it.
I would say if you put bourbon in it, I'll drink it.
Yeah.
But I'm not going out of my way to drink eggnog by itself though.
Yeah, I love eggnog with bourbon in it though.
Yeah, I can do that.
I'm excited. Mariah Carey's back. Everything's she emerged from her hole.
It is that time.
That's that time of the year.
Is she single?
I don't know how many kids from Nick Cannon she got.
Oh, Brady don't want to be with her. I'm trying to think of who Brady's going to end up with next.
Oh, you're trying to find Brady's next woman?
Yeah, he don't want anybody with kids though.
Yeah, he probably don't like kids.
He plans on playing another 10 years. I
just gotta find it. I'll have to share this message with you after the.
Go Google. Just go Google some rich supermodels. It'll probably be somebody on that list.
I don't know. I could see Tom Brady just like settling down, like with, I don't know, who is there any like female like offensive line coaches or like offensive coordinators out there?
Just somebody that knows ball.
Yeah, somebody that has to be related to football.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's what he needs, man. He needs somebody that shares that with him.
Yeah.
Because the dude's just like he can't get out of it. So he just needs somebody that understands.
Yeah.
Which, that's not to knock his former wife saying that she didn't understand it or she didn't support him. I mean, everything that I saw.
No, she definitely supported him.
Yeah, everything I saw in that documentary on ESPN Plus that they did, it seemed like
the goodbye documentary.
Yeah, the goodbye documentary that ended up not being a goodbye documentary. It seemed like she was a great support to him. So I don't want to make it sound like that. That I'm saying that she wasn't, but yeah, he probably just needs like an offensive coordinator that happens to be a female or something, just so they could just talk football whenever they run out of shit to talk about. Because that dude is married to the game for real.
That's why
to be fair, I need to enroll Emily in offensive scheme football as well. We'll always have that to fall back on. But we always have plenty to talk about. So that's actually what I'm about to go do. I'm about to go eat dinner finally with her. But this brings up week 9 is over. Thank you guys so much for showing support for the channel. I know we had a really good day yesterday. Not so many comments today, but hey, Friday's a new week. And then also make sure Friday you are tuned in. We will be dropping the live DFS show down there. Big Jared's got some good stuff for you. Andrew, our DFS guy, is coming in hot as well.
Whatever Drew says to do that.
Yeah,
Please.
It was
it's
a
a good
good week.
lineup.
It was a good week for all of us, not just me. I mean, I might have won the little contest, but like we all three put up good scores in that, and we all three had really good calls on the DFS show last week in terms of like guys that you wanted to play, stay away from. Like
I won money.
there was calls that all three of us made last week that were very profitable for those that listened. So
Not Kylan Granson. That was
I
not.
just would have played DJ Moore at the same price as Adam Thielen and didn't play on St. Brown. I would have been.
That's all right. We keep learning and we keep churning.
Yeah.
You know,
We'll be back at it Friday though. We will be live. Check that out. It's going to be anywhere between 9-9:30, Central Time. So make sure you tune in on that Friday night. Get you prepped for the weekend of football. Win some money with us. Don't forget, we also will be playing some lineups as well. So if you are interested in joining and competing against us three, go ahead, drop a comment, let us know, on that show, and we'll do what we can to get you involved in that as well. It's only a $1 entry, very simple, fun contest where winner takes all. You get to compete against three of us, and if we get enough people, we'll definitely open it up to the public. So thank you guys so much for the support, and we will see you Friday night. Have a good night.